talk, girl talk. What's better than girl talk? Girl talk, girl talk. What's better than girl talk? A chat with the ladies about their day, the ups and downs along the way. She's a cook, she's a chauffeur, she's a worker bee. First in the door and last to leave. Girl talk, girl talk. What's better than girl talk? Girl talk, girl talk. What's better than girl talk?
Welcome to Girl Talk. I'm Regina Ayers, and my co-host Carol Boyson could not be here today, so I will be flying solo. Girl Talk is a lively discussion of the opportunities, challenges, and successes of women in their daily lives. We interview women living in the Rogue Valley who are making a difference in our communities. Earlier, I talked with a woman who was an executive director of a local Ashland nonprofit. And now I'm going to be talking with two women who are co-presidents of the Ashland branch of the American Association of University Women. Now that's a mouthful, so we usually use the acronym AAUW. And Carol and I are both members of AAUW, so we're very familiar with that organization. Now, AAUW has hundreds of branches across the country. They're national, state, and local. And I know it's different being part of a large national organization versus a local organization. Now, in some ways, it's easier. In some ways, I'm sure it's harder. So we have with us here today Pam Shea and Paula Weekend. And welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so glad you could come. So why don't, let's see, what is the mission? And one of you jump in of AAUW.
I'll jump in.
Okay.
So the mission of AAUW is to advance gender equity for women and girls. And that surprises people sometimes because girls is in there. It's very important. And we do that through research, education, and advocacy.
Great, I know. You've got that down, Pam.
I do. I need to know that. It's important to me.
It was. Well, okay, so how long, Pam, why don't you start out and tell us your history in AAUW? When did you get involved and how long have you been here in the Ashland branch?
Mm-hmm. Well, I retired and then found I had the free time to join. So I've only been a member for 3 years.
A newbie.
But I talk about jumping in. I did jump in rather quickly and got involved right away and found myself to be president.
Yeah.
And this is my second year as co-president. Yeah.
So how about you, Paula?
Mine's a little different. When I retired, I spent a year thinking about what I wanted to do, what I wanted to volunteer, where I wanted to volunteer, and I chose AAUW deliberately after looking at a lot of other organizations. But I'm also new, like Pam, and I jumped right into the Public Policy Committee because I love the advocacy part of the mission.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's where I'm involved. I joined in 2012, and I'll have to be frank, I joined because I was running for office and I wanted to do a little outreach into the AAUW community. You know, it's a group of women that are really shakers and movers. Mm-hmm. And I've been involved ever since. And I too am on public policy because that's where my interest lies. Mm-hmm. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the national, the organization, the national versus the state versus the local, and how as co-presidents you interface, if you do, at those levels.
Mm-hmm. I am very, I think the word is inspired by the work at the national level. And when you're here in our beautiful town of Ashland doing our thing with AAUW, with our interest groups and our fundraising for scholarships and all that, you kind of get focused in on that. But the awareness that we're part of a national group, I can't say enough of how that inspires me, because that's where we look at the big picture of gender equity and where women's role is heading in this country, and are they getting paid equally for equal work, and all of those major issues are really brought to the forefront when you look at the national structure. And so part of our charge is really to focus on the mission, keep our little group focused on the mission and bring it down home, so that we are, our level of awareness of the national agenda is very present to us here. So that's a big deal.
Yeah, and as to the state, because you asked about the state as well, there is a convention in Oregon every year of AAUW members. And we go to that, and we can interface, network with the Oregon people, and then we learn what's going on in the national level. So we learn about the pay equity movement, and we learned this year that we are considered, AAUW is considered one of the experts in the country on pay equity, which really made me happy.
Great,
Yeah.
great. So what are some of the benefits that you get from the national? I know you pay dues to the national and the state, which leaves a little bit for us here at the local level. But what are some of the benefits you get from the national organization and the state organization?
That's a good question. So I know the national organization does a lot of advocacy for us. So they lobby Congress, which to me is a huge benefit. I can't think of anything else on the national level. Can you?
No, all of the, we do have access to all of their written materials and all of the things that would support any arguments we needed to make at the local level or at the state level.
Right.
So all of that stuff is out
Yeah.
there.
And something else just occurred to me, the salary negotiations program. I don't know why that slipped my mind,
That
but
comes out of national?
That's national, and we're trying to educate 10 million women about how to negotiate their salaries so we can, again, achieve pay equity so they can make a little more money. And it's been really successful with the women that have taken the class. And that's online. It's available online at the national website.
And I have attended the national convention. I did that 2 years ago with some other women in D.C. in particular. It was great, and that's a benefit too. Now you have to pay to go and all of that, but that infrastructure is there. As you said, the state convention, which is easier for people to get to.
It is.
But you learn a lot there.
You do.
Yeah, you really do. So, so what are some of the demographics of our local branch?
Well,
Why are we laughing?
you see a lot of this colored hair.
Are you talking about the brown hair or the gray hair?
The gray hair.
So, because it's Ashland, a lot of our members are retirees who've transplanted here. And that adds to the wonderful combination of people we have, because you described them so wonderfully. They're like these powerful, energetic, they've had these great careers. Some of them still have their careers. And, they bring all of that expertise and leadership to us, to Ashland.
Yeah, and we do have younger members as well. One of the things that we would like to do is to reach out and interface with more younger members, because we think that would bring a lot to the local branch.
Well, what are your ideas? I mean, that's been a struggle for the League of Women Voters, for Seroptimus, and
It
for
is.
AAUW, which I think are the three main women's organizations here. It's a challenge.
It is a challenge. We got a tip when we went to the state convention in Salem this year from one of the speakers who said, if you want to bring in younger members and more diverse ethnic backgrounds, go to them. So we've been talking about, what does that mean? What groups would we join? Where would we go to bring the members into AAUW? Don't ask them to come to you, go to them. And I thought that was a great suggestion. So we're still mulling that over, how we would make that happen.
Is that something that the board, that would be a project for the board?
We have it on our agenda, in fact, so it is going
Yeah.
to become a project for the board, hopefully a project for the whole organization.
It's in our strategic planning too, so that we put some meat behind it and figure out what we need to do. It's a challenge.
It's a real
huge
challenge.
challenge.
So you're co-presidents, but how are decisions made? I know I've been on the board before, so how, you guys chair the board meetings, I know that. How do you work with the other board members as the co-presidents?
We try to create like a circle of communication that happens every single month. So with a monthly board meeting, that also means that the people that are elected members of the board, they have reports. They have little teams they're working on, and those people feed into a monthly report that gets fed back to the larger group, so that there's always that kind of communication going on, so that the board members aren't in isolation and making decisions, and the board meetings are all open. So anybody who has input or has a suggestion, a different idea, it all comes forward. The elected board members are the decision makers, but we like to think that we're building consensus and that everybody gets a little piece of the pie, gets to give some input.
And when an issue comes up, then we tend to invite people to come to that board meeting and express their expertise in that issue. So it isn't just going to be the board members there.
Right. So what are some of the tasks of those little teams? Fundraising, what are some other things?
Communications
Yes.
is
So
big.
how are you communicating with the outside world and your members? How do you do that? There's a website, I believe we have a title that we can bring up that shows the local Ashland
Wonderful.
website. So you have a webmaster that maintains that.
We do. That's shifting now. We're getting rid of the title webmaster. It's
Oh,
a little passé.
And we're,
I'm out of
calling
it.
it social
media coordinator.
Oh God, I'm so out of it.
And we have we also have a Facebook page.
Oh my God, you guys are stepping up.
We are.
So all of those.
We're trying.
Especially if we're talking about trying to bring in
Young people.
and people in current careers
I know,
that aren't
I know.
retired.
Absolutely.
So the communications also includes a fabulous monthly newsletter.
It is. We get so many accolades at the state level for that newsletter.
It is
excellent.
beautiful.
It's really good. Yeah. No, that's mainly to our members. That's how you keep the membership up to date.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
also communicate through the newspaper. Public Policy writes an article
Yes,
4 times a year
absolutely.
for the Ashland Tidings about issues that, or is it 4 times a year? I think it's 4 times a year.
Yeah.
Quarterly, yeah. About issues that are important to the public. So we do that. We write letters to the editor.
Yeah.
And always identify ourselves as AUW so people know where we're coming from, trying to make our mission available to the public.
So why would a woman want to join AAUW?
Oh, that's a hard one.
I think that's, I'm going to use the survey language.
Oh,
We
good.
just did a survey of our members. We got a pretty good response. And what the survey told us is the members are members because of 2 things. They love our mission, which we've discussed, and they love hanging out with cool women. So if people are wanting to make a difference in the world and want to hang out with very intelligent women, those are 2 great reasons to join.
Absolutely. So you mentioned interest groups. What are they all about?
Well, wow, there's a lot of them.
There are a lot
So
of them.
if there's something that you're doing and you want to share it with your friends and you want more people to join you, you just kind of bring it along. And in the September meeting, we have tables of people who are doing things like meeting book clubs, they're knitting, they're
Shakespeare?
Opera?
Movies.
There are, and then there's the regular things that are part of the club, which like the public policy committee and the planning for the holiday party and things like that.
Right.
But there's also all these other things that gosh, if you want to do something and you want people to come, just come.
Yeah.
Propose it. Put it on the table.
So the September meeting is kind of the kickoff for the business year. So that is, if somebody were interested in learning more about AAUW and the different interest groups, when is your September meeting and where would that be?
Well, it's September 14th, Saturday morning, and it's in the Rogue River Room at SOU.
10:30.
10:30.
Come socialize early. Come at 10:15 to socialize.
Great, great. Yeah, I think that would be a good opportunity for someone to understand what AAUW is all about. So, Paula, I'm going to have you tell us all about the public policy team and what they're doing and what they're up to. I'm, have been involved in that since I joined, and I think there's a speaker we're going to have in October. You can tell us about.
Yes, we are proud to have Pam Marsh, our representative, come to speak to us in October. And I just heard her a couple weeks ago. She knows everything about all the legislation. She's got a lot of interesting facts to tell us about what did pass and what did not pass.
Right.
The Public Policy Committee is a group of very committed women who are actually focused on that third part of our mission, which is advocacy. And we have a state organization with a public policy chair, Trish Garner, who's fabulous. And we lobby our legislature all year long on things that come up. So we were very lucky and diligent in passing the pay equity law in 2017. For Oregon, we have one of the strongest laws in the country, which is, I'm very proud of that. And this year we passed a family medical leave. That's not what it's called exactly. Let's see, what is it called? The family, well, it's basically medical leave. You can have up to 12 weeks a year. A new system for Oregon. And so we basically advocate all year long. We write articles, we talk to our legislators, we go visit our legislators, which is really fun. We do that once a year. We lobby them in person. And that's what we're committed to, making changes for women and girls in the state of Oregon.
Well, tell us about Lobby Day.
Lobby Day happens in Salem. I believe it'll be February next year. We don't have a date yet. And you go and you have an educational session in the morning. It's really fun. You learn some new things.
Right.
You know the particular pieces of legislation that you're going to be lobbying on. This year I lobbied on Title IX. We were trying to get new positions in the state, and we did. We got new positions in the state for Title IX coordination. And then you go meet your legislators. If you're lucky enough, they're both not on the floor, so you'll meet Jeff Golden and you'll meet Pam Marsh, and you will actually lobby them on this particular bill that you want to pass.
Right. Yeah.
Very fun.
Yeah, I like Lobby Day. I think it's a fun 2 or 3 days that you get together with like-minded women. So yeah, it's great. So public policy, of course, has been my interest. What else did I want to say about public policy? I'm not sure, so I guess I'll have to move on.
You know what we haven't talked about?
Is
is raising scholarship money.
Celebration of Scholars.
The celebration of scholars. Yes, that's in the fall.
I had forgotten that.
So tell us about that, Pam.
Oh my gosh, it's like a central focus for the
Absolutely.
group. So every year we do fundraisers. Every other year. We just finished an upscale sale.
Garage sale. It's not a garage sale.
It's an upscale
sale.
And it's huge because it's built up over 2 years. A lot of
Yes.
planning. Paula was one of the chairs of that, and what was our gross total in
We
the end?
grossed over $14,000 with not very many expenses.
Everybody was impressed with that.
It was great because you do a service to the public. They get to come and buy these beautiful things, and you get your members to recycle their stuff. So it's a wonderful deal.
And Goodwill's happy too.
Yeah, and Goodwill.
in the end.
I hate to say that, but at the end it does go to Goodwill. But you want to set. We sold a lot.
Yeah,
We did.
Yeah. No, that was good. So why don't you tell us about the women that receive the scholarships? We have an annual presentation of that after we've decided who they are. There's a whole team, right?
Right.
That works on that. I don't know, maybe all year. I'm not sure.
I think they do. But women who are interested in receiving some funding apply, and that group of women you're talking about, it's a scholarship committee. And they review the case, they interview the women, they review the situations, and then they decide how much money to award each student. Now those students are from RCC and SOU. The numbers are, depending on how much money we have, every year the numbers are slightly different, or the number coming from RCC versus SOU change, but it's all because of need. And the stories they come to our May celebration of scholars, and they share their stories with us. The
They're
awardees,
all just powerful stories.
very powerful stories.
Yeah.
Many of them are women who've returned to college with family and career and struggling to get their degrees, and we're so proud that we can help them accomplish that. And we're giving away something like $26,000 in scholarship money.
Yeah, and they bring their families, which includes children.
Yes,
These are re-entry women.
They are.
in a lot of cases. So that event is really, I think it is a highlight of the year.
I think it's the heart of the organization for many of the members.
It is. It is, and we're a nonprofit. So any money that is donated for those scholarships is tax deductible for the giver, so that's good. So
Correct.
we have a nonprofit status. And so what else are you guys going to be doing this coming year? Anything?
Well, we're not doing an upscale sale.
Okay.
No big fundraisers.
We do that every other year.
Right, okay.
Kind of keeps, everybody gets over the pain of it.
Are you
so they
signing
can
up for
only-
next year, Paula?
To chair the upscale sale.
Can we
No,
get
I'm
this on-
co-president. I'm co-president
Can
for
we
2
get
years.
this on tape?
No, not today.
Yeah, okay, so you're going to be coming off as
Right.
co-president, and you will have another person that will join you.
To be determined.
Right. And so that model has really kind of worked for us for a while. I think years ago there was a single president, but we don't always get a person that's willing to take that on by themselves. And this is great because, you know, it's a learning process. You can get Paula up to speed, and then she can get next year's person up to speed. I like the co-president
It's a great
model.
mentoring process. I think
It
it's really
is.
efficient.
Works
Yeah.
really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Because I'm
is.
already I'm just taking everything from Pam. Well, how does this process work? How does that
Right,
process
right,
work?
Right.
I don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right, yeah. So do you interact with the Seroptimist or League of Women Voters, the other two organizations here in the Valley for
I
women?
know some of our members do. Do we do it as an organization? I
No,
don't
we
think so.
don't. We have a lot of chamber members too in AAUW, chamber and Rotary and Seroptimus.
And Seroptimus and League of Women Voters.
Right. So
Yeah, there's some overlap.
There's
I know
overlap.
Iris is, Iris Milan, she is also a League of Women voter. And so there's a little overlap there. Now, there's some other branches in the Valley. Which other cities have branches?
Well, we belong to a district,
Right.
Southern District.
Southern
yes.
Southern District.
So that's Medford.
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 And
Grants
it's
Pass.
Grants Pass. But we also have Lakeview
And Roseburg.
and Roseburg. Those are
And
very
Klamath
small.
Falls.
Which
Did that
does not have an
close?
active membership right
Okay.
now.
They
Does
don't.
Lakeview have one?
They
Yes.
do.
My
I
goodness.
think
I know
they
it.
have 20.
I've heard 20. I
That's
don't.
20
so-
women?
Have you been to Lakeview lately?
No.
Okay, so that's a lot of women for Lakeview.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is.
That's great. Yeah, I just handed off my Southern District director, or not director, committee. There's a local public policy, but not all branches have public policy.
That's what I hear.
We are so fortunate to have so many women interested in that. So there is a committee at the state level, and they like to have a representative from the 5 districts. And I was representing our district, and I handed that off to Ann Bard. Yes, Ann Bard is our new Southern District Public Policy Committee
yes.
representative. Yeah. So I hope she enjoys that. That was a good education process. You mentioned Trish. Trish Garner. She is our state public policy person. And when you're on that committee, during a long session, which we had this year that runs February through July, that woman, and she's a volunteer,
I know, it's incredible.
did so much work. I can't believe it. She's in Portland, so she goes to she lives in Salem for the long session, I think, because she really has to be there. And she testifies at hearings, and she meets with people, and she's an advocate. I know we have paid lobbyists at the national level, but we don't have any paid lobbyists at the state level.
And Trish's depth of knowledge is amazing. And when she puts
Yes.
out an emergency call, they're about to have a vote, we need you to answer. We do, all across the state, the public policy people email or call, and then we actually can move the legislation. And it's Trish that's in there letting us know what has to
Yes,
happen.
absolutely.
Very impressive.
Yeah, and she did that several times this year because the pay equity law, which was passed 2 years ago, there was some question about if that was going to be modified, and she rallied the troops, and they didn't make any changes to it. So what is the current disparity between pay? What is the average full-time working woman? How many cents does she get on the dollar?
Do you want me to take this one?
Yeah.
It's 80 cents on the dollar nationwide.
Man,
I just read something that came out of National. This is a good thing National does for us, that African American women Their pay equity day is August 22nd. So that means they have to work all the way through this year till August 22nd to make what a man made last year. So all of last year plus through August.
Right.
The average American woman, if you put everybody together, white, black, Hispanic, is generally in April. So that reflects the 80 cents on the dollar.
Right.
Oregon is right in there. That's about where we are too.
Right. And Latina women make the least.
Yes.
Yes,
I don't
they
know
do.
what their day is, but they do make
Yes,
the least.
they make the least amount of money, and it's really a shame. Now, we have done events on Pay Equity Day in the past. I don't think we did one last year, but we have, oh, well, that's something at the state level. They put together a pay equity presentation.
Program in
The
a box.
toolkit.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you. That can be delivered. I actually delivered that first year. That would have been year before last at the library. So there are tools that are provided by national and the state that we can utilize here. And so I've just been pleased with my participation in AAUW, and I've taken on some roles and handed them off to other people. I really believe in rotation of leadership. And what happens in these nonprofits a lot of times is the same people do the same work
That's right.
year after year because other people don't step up. And sometimes you just have to say, I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
And sometimes that gets people to raise their hand and say, okay, I'll take that on. And yeah, it's a great organization. So we're almost coming to the end of our time. So would you like to have any recruitment comments if you're trying to get some new people?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Well, I think your suggestion that people come and see us on September 14th, and certainly if they look up our website needs some updating, and that's why we're getting this social media person. But we would encourage you to take a look at who we are and what we are, and even at the national level, look up the national website.
And go do the salary negotiations on the national
Right.
website if
yeah,
you're still
the
working.
online,
Take the free there's
Class.
a class.
Online class,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, thank you, ladies, for coming today. And I will be seeing you guys in September.
You will.
So that's all the time we have for Girl Talk today. And I love talking to our two guests, Pam Shea and Paula Weekend. And as they said, they will have their meeting in September. And I encourage you to go to the university and stop by the Rogue River Room. I'd like to thank all of our volunteer crew, Wanda Borland, who's been the director of Girl Talk since we started, John Letts on graphics, Lynn and JC for their excellent lighting work and camera work, and Gary for audio, and David Bruce on camera. So thanks to our crew. Thank you very much, guys and girls. Girl Talk can be seen on Rogue Valley TV, Channel 15 with Ashland Home Net, or Channel 182 with Spectrum at 3 p.m. on Saturdays and 6:30 on Thursdays, or on demand at online at roguevalleytv.sou.edu. You click at the public access link at the top of the page and then search for Girl Talk. Girl Talk can also be heard live at noon on Sundays at KSKQ Community Radio at 98.5 FM in Ashland and 94.1 FM in Medford. Now, I also have another show on Rogue Valley TV called Getaway Girl. It's a travel show that will take you to faraway places, and you can learn about different cultures and to understand why traveling can expand your horizons. We hope that you learned something new today and that you will join us again. So bye for now. So ladies,
Girl talk, girl talk. What's better than girl talk? Girl talk, girl talk. What's better than girl talk? A chat with the ladies about their day, the ups and downs along the way. She's a cook, she's a chauffeur, she's a worker bee. First in the door and last to leave. Girl talk, girl talk. What's better than girl What's better than girl talk?